Hi,
Hi,
who are you?
I am Almar and I'm an addict.
What kind of addict?
Attention addict. I love attention. Any attention.
And what are we doing here?
We're making a podcast.
What is that about?
It's about the things like people's stories, how they ended up where they are, ended up doing what they're doing. And yeah, it was supposed to be about something else, but I ended up with this.
Who are those people?
These are my friends. Yeah, basically my network, because I wanted to make a show about me, but I didn't really have anything to talk about. So I ended up looking at the network. The network was interesting, so I kind of thought, okay, I can maybe make something with this.
So, do you have already a name for this podcast?
Yeah, it's called The Bunker. How the hell did we end up here?
And how is it connected to the theme?
How the hell did we end up here? So basically people's stories and how they went from A to B and then to C, and with coincidences, decisions, traumas, basically anything that moves you to the direction or the point where you are.
So, how often are you gonna have this podcast?
I'm not sure, but maybe like two times a month, 3 times a month.
So, do you take yourself seriously enough? Do you have some sponsors?
Yeah, like every other professional podcast, then of course I have sponsors. I have the Oat Bar. That's the greatest thing in Karlin. Sells amazing oatmeals and skyr. Everything is handmade. And it's available from 8 to 3 during the weekdays, closed on the weekends, but you can order on Volt as well. And it's a place that you really want to go. Healthy yet tasty.
Sounds
And
good.
then I have a company called Alfred. It's alfred.cz. It's a place where you can find jobs. You can set up a job watch. You can get notified whenever there's a cool job coming along. And it's a great solution for anyone who is either looking for a job or wants to change jobs, because you can find the right job without spending time looking for it. It's available in Czech, English, and Slovak. And yeah, check it out. Alfred.cz. So yeah, those are the guys. On this episode, I have my friend Fanny. After knowing Fanny for a while, I realized that she must have a story to share. And I wanted to know how the hell a girl from a small town in France ends up in Prague via detour to the middle of nowhere in Sweden. I found her story both sad and enjoying. How childhood traumas and difficulties made her stronger, pushed her into dancing, that then finally led her to where she is today. Listening to Fanny tell story of her manipulative stepmom and alcoholic stepfather on the other side made me realize that she could have gone a completely different path in life. I also have to admit that some of these stories were so absurd that we eventually had to laugh. They sounded more like a movie than reality. So, Fanny, welcome to the bunker.
Thank you.
What do you think of the view from my bunker?
It's beautiful.
Have you ever been to a bunker with a view?
No, actually, it's the first time.
I've never really been sure how to pronounce your last name.
Yeah, it's a bummer. It's really for foreign. It's
Foreign
really
friendly.
Yeah, yeah. It's pronounced Barrouquère.
Barrouquère.
Exactly, but you can call me barbecue. Like
Funny barbecue.
yes.
And where is that name from?
So it's from southern France, in this area called Bigorre. It's southwest, how to say, very close to the Spanish border and not so far from the ocean.
So you're almost Basque.
Almost, but it's not quiet. It's like we are neighbors.
Okay. And you have your own dialect?
Yeah, we have a dialect called patois in
Uh-huh.
like a common language. Otherwise, it's like Occitan. It's very close to Catalan, actually. Used to be like one part, and then history separated, blah blah blah.
So all of this is in France, and if you go and speak your dialect in Paris, do they understand you?
I don't think so. No, no, no. It's really a regional thing, and it's kind of, it's not dying, but we still have some news in Southwest said in Occitan, and I learned a little bit in school, but it was a choice. It was not obligatory or something. So it's kind of like fading away.
Okay. Do you remember how we met?
Yeah, yeah. I remember exactly the place and the day. No, not the day, but the week.
Yeah.
It was in August, about a year ago, something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, you were with your dog going from your home to my area, from Holishovice to Kalin, and I was with mine. And they started to have a party. I was going to work in Holishovice, and so we started to talk.
Mm. Yeah, I remember this. You had your weird bicycle with you.
Yeah, my foldable.
Yeah. I thought, oh, she must be working in a circus or something. I was close to it.
Yeah,
because,
not so far. Yeah.
Yeah, because you're a dancer.
Yes.
And you're super busy now. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I'm freelancing in Prague, Czech Republic, and I work with different groups here, many different performances, and September is the beginning of the season that, like the performing season. So we always have to bring back all the performances, be ready, and start to play. So September is always a lot of different things happening.
And that's contemporary dancing, right?
Yes, physical theater, contemporary, yeah.
And but it's off for the summer, so it's kind of restarting now, right?
Yes, and plus we had the quarantine last season, so like it was really weird times, and now like we haven't really performed for like half a year, so yeah, it's a lot of work now.
Yeah. I've seen you perform once. Remember, I was really like, wow, this girl is made out of rubber. But it's a long story. I mean, you and I wanted to kind of bring that to the people listening. That like, how does a girl from Occitanie end up in Prague via detour through Sweden, and somehow using dance to get forward or get to those places in life. So if you go back a little bit, like you're born in France. Did you have a big family, siblings?
So I don't have siblings. I will separate my family in two sides because yeah,
Most
it will be
families do.
yeah, it's true. But it's easier like that. So my mother's side, my grandparents, they come from Spain, grandma from Barcelona, and grandpa from Aragon area, like the mountains, but the Spanish side. They had to. They were both refugees from Franco's times, and they started like from nothing really, and they met each other in France, and they built everything from nothing. They had like 2 daughters, so I have cousins thanks to that. And my father's side is not really present, actually not at all in my life. My parents were divorced when I was 5, I think, and he kind of disappeared little by little. He got remarried when I was about 7, I think, maybe before that, and that was like very difficult situation since his wife was very complicated and quite like problematic, like how to say. She has some issues, like medical issues, mentally. I don't really know how to describe it, but little bit this type that manipulates people into saying things that they don't feel or don't even think about. And she kind of like used me as a target. She liked to play with me.
As a 7-year-old.
Yeah. All this time. She has a daughter which is 1 year older than me, and she played this game to compare us all the time, and who is better in everything. That was like nothing compared to other things. Like, for example, she would like steal things from stores and put them in my pockets and dare me to to not like put it out. She would tell me things like, for example, once she took me in her bedroom and she was recording the conversation. It took like, I don't know, 4 hours or something like that. I was maybe 8 or 9 years old. And she told me the whole story, how she once wanted to escape her mother's place. And she was just waiting for me to give her the confidence, like to tell her that I wanted to escape from my mother's place, and where would I go, and like things that I never thought about. And she was recording, and like many things like this, she always manipulated situations. Once I went after, so it was like regular divorce, that my mother had custody, and not every weekend, but every second weekend I was visiting the father's side, and they would have split holidays and things like this. And before they got married, it was very easy. My father was very nice. He still wanted to be part of the family, even though they were divorced, and like kind of easy transition. For example, with my grandparents from mother, we had a cottage by the sea, which every July they would take me and my cousins for like 1 month by the beach, and it was like really good times as a child. And also Christmas is a big thing in their side, like always like the whole family gathering together for like 2-3 days, and like they did everything for the kids, for us. It was like fantastic. And my father was very aware of that, and so the first years he really made sure that I didn't have a change, so that I could really enjoy the best of each sides of the family. But when she came along, she really enjoyed putting her way into, and so, for example, she really made sure that we split the Christmas 1 year with my mother's side, 1 year with my father's side. She would ask my mother what I wanted for Christmas, for example, ask her for money to help to buy the presents. So I would have like something very similar to what I had at home.
So she was competing against your mom.
Yeah, but then she would buy all the stuff I wanted to her daughter, and I would have like a very small something under the tree that nobody was able to see, and and something that I really didn't care for, like things like this all the time.
And how sorry, I mean, it's so weird. Who knew this? I mean, like, what did your father know about this, or?
It's we got warned, but so my great grandmother, my grandma's mother, had a lot of depressions, and she used to go like once in a while, once a year, for like resting in the hospital to get over the deep depression and then go home. And when my father and this lady started to date, the doctor that was taking care of my great grandmother warned my mother and grandmother about her, that she had a big folder, medical folder, and that she was very dangerous. So my mother made a letter to my father, kind of warning him. But of course, like when you're going through a divorce and you're sad to date someone else, you don't really believe your ex-spouse that something is
Wrong with the new
wrong
one.
with the new one. Yes. And it started like very slowly. Like I was dancing, and when I used to have lessons on Saturday.
Oh, you were already dancing at this age?
Yeah, it was like a hobby, something that I did since I kind of started to walk. And so it started like this, that the first year when I was on Saturdays with them, she would not bring me to the lessons, but instead do take a nap, even though I didn't take naps for like years already. And then her daughter started to dance, and then she started to have lessons on Saturdays. And so she was going to the lessons, and I wasn't anymore because I had to change school because it was annoying, the whole situation. So things like this that always came crashing.
And how did you feel?
Well, as a child, you don't really realize those things. I think I realized because I heard a lot my mother's family talking about it in front of me, like if I would not understand what they were talking about. I think that was maybe a little harder than the situation itself. I mean, of course, they were very worried every time I came back from a vacation with them or from like a weekend. I was a little bit weird and I didn't really know how to behave, and I would say weird things. So they were very worried, and they didn't really try to hide it from me. Like I would be there like playing or whatever, and they would talk about it openly, like if I was deaf or something.
But this year, like what, 7, 8, 9?
Yeah, in the very beginning, I didn't really notice. I felt a little bit uncomfortable, and I felt like there was a wall building between me and my father, that I couldn't really talk to him openly so much, that we didn't have fun anymore so much. But she was always there controlling everything, and then I got accused of things, of behaviors when I was not with them. Like one day, her brother, my father's wife's brother, said that I gave him the finger in the street one day. And so first thing when I arrived in the weekend, after 2 weeks I didn't see them, I had to confess about it, even though I didn't know what was giving a finger yet. Like, I wish I knew, but I didn't. Otherwise, I probably would have done it for sure, because I just like, and things like this, I would be sitting at this table for like 4 hours when the daughter would be like watching the best movie ever, or like, I don't know, playing or like openly next door. And I was like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. You're lying. They were telling me that I was a liar, that I was like, and they would force me to show what I did, even though I didn't know what they referred to. And I mean, it was like crazy.
So you were guilty until proven innocent?
No, I was never innocent. Like
in their mind.
Oh, yeah. Like once, like the worst, like, and it kept growing like this, those situations.
Until when?
Until I was, well, of course, my hatred for them and the time spending with them started to grow, obviously. I was tired of being accused of things that I didn't do, or so I didn't really know how to behave around them anymore, and I started to kind of feel rebellious. And when I was 10, I was maybe 9 or something like that. We went hiking in the mountains, always in wild camping, something totally illegal, but we did it anyway every year in August for 1 month. And she went really far. Like, she stole the wallet of friends of hers that were hiking and camping with us, and she hid it under my mattress in my tent while I was cleaning hers. Like, I mean, how crazy is that? And I was like, I had no idea. The like, when you're 9, you don't know what is money. You don't.
No.
I mean, you're hiking in the middle of nowhere in the high mountains. The first road is like half a day walk. So, I mean,
I mean,
seriously.
just taking a 9-year-old on a half-a-day walk is already bad.
Yeah.
And then accusing them of stealing
I mean,
someone's wallet.
It's crazy. And so they accused me of that. And of course, I was guilty. And that's the moment that I knew, like, I started to be aggressive with my words against them, like on the spot. So it was like worse and worse every year. But shortly after that, because her daughter was dancing and developed a very big passion for dancing, and of course she was more talented than me, and she had a better body for it, and blah blah blah. They moved to Paris to go to the Paris Opera School, this most prestigious, like best school. So for me, it was quite. I was quite happy that they moved away, so I didn't have to go through this every second weekend and half of the holidays until majority, because I really hated it.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that my father is not really present in my life is not a big bother, because when they moved, it was quite delivering, actually.
But this, and what about your mom? She knew about those things and they were talking about it, but did she ever try and do something about this, or?
They tried many things, but it's very complicated with the law, actually, and it's hard to. And this lady, she knew how to behave, like how to manipulate, and she knew the law very well, which was very like awkward. Like
she came prepared.
She like very prepared, and she was always going to court to change situations, and I was forced to see a child psychiatrist, which I knew that it was ordered by her side. So I decided that I was not going to talk to him, like things like, I mean, it was a little bit messy. They tried to get out of the situation how they could, but they were a little bit, they didn't have the tools to really protect me in a way. I don't know.
And how? And your mom was, but she must have been worried. How?
Yeah, she was, and then she met somebody also that was a little bit complicated, and that was kind of overlapping with the time that my father moved away. So that was kind of like, oh, finally we can breathe. And she met this person which was alcoholic and was very aggressive to her. It didn't start like this, but it grew to be very violent relationship towards her and me and all family. Yeah.
So you get out of one trouble to get into another.
Yeah, they overlapped for a few years, and then father moved away, so that was like, oh, that's great. And then this became like a little bit bigger. You know, it's like actually every abusive relationship starts like this, that it's fantastic, is very nice. This guy was very nice to me at first and to her, and they had what appeared to be a very passionate love, but very fast it started to get nasty, and he started to, like, for no reason, start to be aggressive to her, to put her down with words first, and then one day he just like slapped her for absolutely no reason. I remember it was like something, I was 11 maybe, or 10, yeah, and we were out very late for like a dinner with his friends, even though I had the school next day, which was like very great. And they were drinking, of course, a lot. And they are both smokers. So he wanted the lighter, and she said that she didn't have it. and he said that she had it, and turned out that she had it, and so for this reason he slapped her. And from that it just started to escalate a lot. So it was always a pattern with aggressions, with fights. He was screaming at her for like hours, and then I could hear some like punches or things like this, and then the next day he would come with like jewels and flowers, and for a week he would be like an angel, and then for no reason he started again. And then he started with me. I was like starting to be like a teenager, so a little bit, I wasn't that easy because I could see what was happening, and I was very angry at the situation. And so he took me as a target, and was always the easy way to start a fight for him. That if I wanted, I don't know, can I go to my friend Saturday afternoon to study? And she would say no, he would stay. He would say yes. And if she would say yes, he would say no. And then he would be always challenging the authority, like, so I am nothing for you, and blah, blah, blah. And starting like this into big fight that would go for like the whole weekend, with a lot of alcohol, of course, and things like this. Until the point that he really threw like a metal tool at her face, and she needed stitches. And when she got like the stitches at the hospital, the nurse that knew my grandparents called them and told them that something was going on and it was very bad. And so my grandparents, they took a matter in their hands, and they called the police, and they forced my mother to go to the police, and they kicked him out like this. But that was already like 5 or 6 years later.
How does this feel? I mean, how were you living in were you scared or?
It was very I was more living in anger. Like because he would always trigger me, like to make me angry, so I would like say something mean or say something aggressive, and that would be for him the moment to start a fight and then to beat her. So then I was a little bit feeling guilty because I was talking back to them, and that would create a fight. But yeah, I just couldn't stand him. After a few years, I just I felt like really a lot of hatred for this guy.
But how about your mom? How were your feelings towards your mom?
She was always drunk, kind of. So it was like the more the years were going, the less sober I had a chance to see her. I was a little bit afraid every morning to see how I would find her. But yeah, school was like a great escape, and I had
the dance,
and dancing, well. Of course. Yeah, I was never at home almost. Like I was always in dance lessons, or I was in school. And I hated holidays at this time, because that would mean I would be at home all day, and that was difficult. But yeah, I had a great time whenever I was not at home, like with school and friends that had like also big problems. So we kind of like helped each other in that way. And we were kind of the happy kids in the school. Like my friend that her mother had cancer after cancer, and another one that was in institution because she was sexually aggressed by family. We were like together, and we had like always the best time of the life in school, making jokes all the time and laughing all the time. And once she was passionate about singing, and with my other friend we were like dancing all the time. And I think that was like something that dance became really necessary for me, not to just go crazy.
I can imagine that. I mean, this sounds like I mean, this is what I think people would call like a broken home. I mean, and two of them, on both sides. And how is your relationship with them today? Are you communicating with them or?
We had very complicated years after that. Well, it ended up that the police came and kicked him out. They had a restraining order, but of course he was still like coming at night sometimes. And
How old are you at this time? Sorry.
I was in high school.
Okay.
And of course for my mother it was very difficult. She lived in fear and at the same time in guilt because she loved him, and he had like a very difficult childhood that he always told us about. And I think that's where the aggression came. Like his mother just abandoned him and then had children after he was in orphanage. And so that was something that like he clearly had a lot of aggression towards women because of that. Like we had my grandparents, like my mother's parents, to help us after he left, because before they didn't know anything about it. And one day we had news that he killed himself. So for me it was like, I felt so good about it. I mean, I'm sorry, it's like really dark thing to say, but until this happened, I knew that we were never gonna be free.
Yeah.
He kept on coming back and beating her, and we were scared. Like after school, we were living with always the blinded like clothes, pretending that we were not living at home, hiding the car because we were scared that he would come, and which he did sometimes. And once I remember I thought I had a bad dream and I could hear his voice like screaming, and then I woke up and I realized he was at home. It was the middle of the night, like 4 a.m. or 3, something like that. And he was again pushing her down, like with the words, like I was like, wow, we're never gonna be rid of him. And when we heard that, okay, he killed himself, my mother was very guilty about it, and she really went through a deep depression. She really went deep into the alcohol, which was like very difficult for me because I didn't accept that she would feel bad for him. Like I was 14, 15, and I just couldn't take it. For me, he was evil and he was gone, and that was good. But now with years, it took us some years to be good again with my mother, and I know that she did her best, even though it was probably like wrong choices, but she couldn't know. I understand that sometimes in life you take one wrong step and then it's like a series of bad events. Yeah.
And what about your father?
Well, my father, he lives in Paris. He was living there with his family, and then nothing. For 10 years, I didn't have any news. And then, even more, like 15 years.
When you say no news, I mean, you just didn't hear anything.
Exactly. I actually, they had made a court decision that the school was supposed to send all my... how do you say this, like in school, all the grades to both parents, because my mother was not sending, and I quote, because of course she was sending, but they were always trying to look better in court and stuff like that. So one day I got to the principal office, and I had no idea why, because I was quite good behaving, like okay, I like to make joke and stuff like that, but the teachers, they never caught me because I have angel face and I hide it well. And so I got to the principal office, and I was like, what happened? He was very angry, and he told me, why didn't you say that your father moved away? Because the grades paper came back and they didn't have new address. And so they were really angry at me that I didn't communicate this information. And I was so surprised that I didn't know that he had moved. And he looked at me, and there was like a blank, and he was like, "Oh, okay, it's good. You can go back to your class.
yeah.
Okay, yes, good." And I came back to the class. I was crying. I was a little bit sad that I didn't know where he lived, that he moved away, and I didn't have any trace of him anymore. But even though we did not talk or communicate through letters or anything for already years, it kind of hurt that I didn't know
Where
like,
he was.
where he was.
Yeah.
But that was just like one thing. And I heard afterwards that they had divorced with this lady. And yeah, that's it. That was it. And then, I don't know, after 15 years of hearing nothing, not knowing where he lived, if he lived even, his new girlfriend contacted me via Facebook. That was like something. She referred, like she wrote me, and she wrote if I was the niece of his brothers, but she didn't mention him. And I was like, "Oh, that smells like dirty." And well, turned out that it was the girlfriend, and she was actually looking for me and hoping that we would build communication again. She told me that he was very sad that he didn't have news from the daughter, and that he didn't know where I was, and he was looking for me for years. And I was like, I never moved away from the hometown. My mother still lives in the same apartment when he moved away. Like
Nothing changed.
Exactly. I was in the same school. There is like 5 schools in my city. It's not so big. And never he took the train to really look for me. So I was like, okay, whatever. And we met once. I was 25. And was a little bit no, less. I was 24, 23, something like that. I was very shocking how the memory, because of course you don't really remember the face of the person after 15 years. You don't really remember the voice, the behavior. I don't know this person anymore. But the moment I hear his voice and I see him, it was so obvious, like boom, like I knew this person, and it was so weird. But yeah, we took communication, but he's still stuck. I think he's a teenager in his head. So we didn't keep like a very strong, we didn't build up a strong bond. We just, he sends me stupid videos on Facebook once a year, and that's it.
And are you angry at them, like your parents?
No, for me, it's I lived so many years without him, so I don't need him. And now I'm adult, so I don't really care so much.
So during all this time, I mean, this is crazy. I mean, like most people that are from what would be called like a broken home like this, and this is like broken on both sides. A lot of people that go through this, they end up somehow, I don't know, they get into trouble, you know, they get into drugs, or they drop out of school and something like this. So what kept you in? I mean, you go to school, you're in the dancing, and that's your escape? Or?
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, I was a good student, I have to say.
Why?
In school, I think, well, I liked to really go deep into those things to just like escape. That's obvious. And then dancing was like a way to put all my anger, all my, like, everything I would feel or not even understand was going into the dancing. And then I have to say, my aunt, my cousins, my grandparents, they were like kind of pillars like next to my home, which kept me like believing that there was possible to have a good life.
And so in some way you can maybe look at it that way, that this, because dance has become, it's your life, it's what you do. So in some way those circumstances, they shaped you to that, or pushed you into that direction, that actually that's a good outcome, right?
Yeah,
from the circumstances.
Completely. I think if I didn't have dance, I don't know, I would have turned mad. Like probably would have been very violent person myself. But it came to a point that I couldn't live without dancing, even when all those situations kind of faded away and everything became better. I just couldn't let go. And from at first I decided, I thought, yeah, I will be a doctor. I will heal people. Like when I was kid, I was like,
yeah, but you're still like that. I will come to that later, but you're still like that.
but it was a point that I just couldn't imagine myself without dancing. And so I turned 18, I got my diploma from high school, and I was like, okay, I'm going for it. So I decided to just go for dancing.
But do you think like because the dance becomes an escape, so it becomes a bigger thing in your life than it might have done otherwise. So could you see it like this? If you would not have had these bad experiences in your homes, then maybe you wouldn't be a dancer. Maybe you would be a doctor.
Maybe. I don't know.
You had never thought about that?
I don't know, because I did stop dancing for like a couple of years here and there, like but for those 2 years I had some like medical issues that I couldn't do physical activities because I stopped growing and blah blah, hormones disbalance, whatever. And so the doctor said I should not have side activities like sports activities next to school. So I didn't for like 2 years until everything went into place. And every time I was going to see a performance, like even a friend's kermesse or whatever, like school something, I could not stand still. I could not sit still on my chair. I was always like moving and dancing and going.
But you're moving and dancing now.
Yeah.
By the way.
Yeah, those things they
and
stick
talking
to
with
you.
your hands. And talking
Yes.
with your hands.
Oh yeah, this for sure.
But so the dancing and the school, I mean, the dancing is always becoming a bigger and bigger thing.
Mm-hmm.
But in that town where you're from, we actually, I don't think we mentioned the name, it's Tarbes.
Tarbes,
yeah,
in French. But yes,
I didn't want to apply my full French. Was there a lot of dancing opportunities for dancers there, or what happens?
Not much, no. There is a few groups that make like some projects, and of course, but it's not really a place that things happen. So my dance teachers that believed in me, and when I told them that I thought about a career in dancing, they pushed me in the good direction, and they sent me to professional school. We had some problem with money, of course, with like all what my family experienced in the years before. So that was not that easy, but my dance teachers, they went from door to door to find fundings, and like took a year of really finding the budget for me to have at least 1 year in this school in Montpellier.
They must have really believed in you.
Yeah. I mean, I'm so grateful for this. It was like something. I had a recommendation letter from this teacher that was so beautiful. I think my grandma kept it somewhere. She keeps everything, so it was like very touchy and like, yeah. So thanks to her, I got enough money to go away at least for 1 year.
And you went to
I went to Montpellier, which is a city more on the Mediterranean side. So it's like 4 hours away from my hometown. I kind of went quite far. and so I did this education first for like a teacher's training. But I was 18 years old. I was like, woohoo, I'm out of town. So, yeah, I just wanted to dance. I didn't want to learn how to be a good teacher. I needed to have my own experience as a performer. So I failed this teacher's training. And lucky enough, I went through some auditions that worked, and I got my first contract when I was like 20.
Well, is that normal to get a contract as a dancer? So I don't know. Like,
It's quite like there is a little bit of luck. You have to meet the right people, be in the right place, the right time, which I happen to, and like, yeah. But also there is a certain thing, like you need to be good enough, and yeah. So not to brag, but I was good enough. Oh yeah. But also I was very lucky in the timing, in the people I met, and the people that sent me to the right places, and that's it.
And that's 1 year contract at the...
Yeah, I got twice in a row 1 year contract in Marseille, in a big theater, National Theater. Was like big company, 35 dancers with one ballet side, one more contemporary side, and but yeah, it's like big institution, big tour, big theaters, big sets. It was really amazing to be there.
It was not overwhelming for you coming from a small town, you know?
No, I'm quite I'm quite good at adaptation, adaptationing. Yeah, let's make a word. I can adapt myself very easily. Yeah, voilà. Let's go around the syntax, the grammatics. I can adapt quite well anywhere. I actually like the challenge. That's also why I moved to Sweden. I was 2 years in Marseille in this big theater, but I was a little bit unhappy because I was like, I had the lack of self-confidence. I was with those amazing dancers, which were soloists for like many years and beautiful and like very renowned artists, and I was like this small town girl from a village. Hello, this is my first year. Yeah, I didn't really believe in myself that I would make something nice out of nothing.
But they offered you to stay, though, right?
Yes, they offered me a lifetime contract, but
which is something that every dancer would dream of, right?
I mean, this is a great thing, yes. That gives stability in a job that is not so stable.
Yeah, because I guess you can't take it for granted as a dancer that you get hired permanently somewhere by someone who actually can pay you.
Yeah, exactly. This is really not something that happened so much.
So what did you say?
Well, I didn't know if I was gonna get this contract, so I auditioned a little bit everywhere in Europe I could go. I did maybe 15 or 20 auditions that year because I wasn't sure that I would be renewed. And there is this rule in France that after 2 years of short time contract, you have to have the lifetime. And often, if they are not so happy with the person, then they just don't renew you. And I was very afraid that would be the case because I was very young and I didn't perform so much, and so I auditioned everywhere. And the same day that I got a positive answer for a theater in Sweden, I got offered the lifetime contract in Marseille.
And
And with a very careful consideration, I moved to Sweden because I thought, hey, that will be fun. A new country. I always wanted to live abroad to learn English properly and see what it is to live in like such a cold country. Like, I mean, I'm a Mediterranean girl, obviously.
Yeah, where in Sweden was this?
It was in north of Sweden, in Norrland, a city called Härnösand. And so I got this contract in a dance company called Nordans.
So you go from the Mediterranean to the north of Sweden.
Yes, from Marseille, the city that has minimum 12 degrees in super winter, to Härnösand, which maximum has 12 degrees in the big summer.
And you have in Härnösand, you have short days in the winter, right? It gets dark early.
Yes. Yes. It's 5 hours up north from Stockholm. So it's more or less on this arm, like in the middle, north, south. And yes, so the winters are very dark. We have light from 10 o'clock in the morning, roughly, until 3 in the afternoon. But on the contrary, the summer has the white nights. Yeah. Like it gets a little bit like a evening mood, and then very fast it gets into the morning mood.
Yeah, sunrise.
Yes, without proper darkness. So I thought that would be very interesting and fun to experience that. And minus 25, minus 30 degrees in winter. I just thought that was fun. So I went.
But you was it like a culture shock also? I mean, how I've never been to
Härnösand. I loved it very much. It's a small city, like 25,000, no, yeah, something like 25, 30,000 people. Very, very small town.
For where I come from, that's big, but yeah.
Yeah, well, it's about the perspective, yeah. But there is a lot of nature around, which I love since I was hiking with my father all childhood. Even though those were not very fond memories, I liked the nature itself.
Framed for stealing wallets as a 9-year-old.
Right. I'm Fanny. I'm 9 years old. I like to hike and steal wallets. Yeah. But I really have this taste of nature. I like to hike and steal wallets. No.
Sorry.
No, yeah. So it was great, like very big change, very drastic change. But I think that's also why I liked it very much. And the company was 8 people, 8 dancers. So everybody had a lot of work. We were a lot on stage. And I think that was a great opportunity for me to grow as an artist and to really develop.
Yeah, because you probably also, when you go this far from home, you kind of leave all your comfort zone behind. You go to work with new people, new environment.
Yes, completely. And plus, when I moved, I really didn't speak English fluently. I understood many things. I didn't understand very, very, very many things. And I wasn't able to have a conversation, actually. Yeah, because in France, we learn for 7 years, but we are 1 million people in each class, and like we don't talk. We don't learn how to talk and how to understand the conversation. So that was something.
But in and what kind of shows were this like in Sweden? Is it like these are small theaters and
So the company was built to develop the dance culture, the contemporary dance culture in north of Sweden, because all the international companies they go to capital cities, but they rarely go to let's say Kalix, north of Sweden. But the Swedish government decides that all those people, they deserve culture and they deserve to know what's happening in the world. So they put a company right there that has the mission to bring art to those small villages, those small cities in the middle of nowhere. So that was the mission of the company, which is beautiful, and I really enjoyed that a lot.
So it's like a road tour in a
Yeah,
way.
exactly. We would work for like 3 months on a new project with 1 or 2 different choreographers. It depends of the program of the season. From somewhere in Europe, sometimes Swedish choreographers, sometimes Spanish choreographers. It really depends. Like we tried to bring as much diversity as possible for those people to have the maximum range possible that they could get. And we would tour in north of Sweden for like 1 month, 2 months with the show, like 15, 20 shows, and then bring a new program in the company, and then again tour, and like this.
And how big for these venues? Like the houses that you were dancing in?
Well, it was like sometimes was what they called the Folkets Hus, Folkets Hus,
the local
townhouse
used
yeah.
for all sorts of events,
which was like cinemas and theaters and I don't know, library and things like this. Sometimes we were performing in schools, in the gym halls of schools, or sometimes in big theaters. It depended. Like for example, it happened that we had the shows for 10 people in north of Sweden, where like maybe it was 25% of the amount of people living in the city. So that was very good.
It's all a matter of perspective.
Exactly. Like we went to Kiruna. If you Google this city, is like
far north.
Very, very far north. And actually, every time we went to Kiruna, on the way in the tour bus, we saw Northern Lights. Boom, bonus. Poof. We passed the Arctic Circle, and once we crossed this border, we saw Northern Lights.
Yeah.
And a lot of reindeers here and there on the road.
And you were happy there. I mean, you felt good there, and it was a pleasant.
Yes, it was really nice. Really nice. I had a very good connection with our directress. We liked each other very much, and as people, as workers, and I was very happy. But then came this great choreographer, Lenka Wagnerova from Czech Republic, and she created a solo for me. Well, first she came to the company as a teacher. We had the trainings every morning.
In Sweden?
Yes. And we had these trainings in the morning, and so for 2 weeks we had a different teacher. So we had like the best condition we could possibly have. Sometimes was ballet lessons, sometimes was contemporary, and so Lenka came for many times for contemporary dance classes as a training in the morning. And this directress always gave us the opportunity to choose or to give hints in people we would like to work with. And we really everybody loved her way of moving, and we knew about her company that was just starting at the time, but so we suggested her, and the directress offered Lenka to make a performance for kids and families in the company. That would be with kind of low tech that could be performed as much in theaters or in gyms or...
basically any non-fitted space.
Exactly. And she chose to work with me for a solo. And that was like fantastic. Like I feel like there was a dancer before her and after her. Well, before this project and after.
It transformed you.
Completely.
How does that happen?
I don't know. She found something in me. Like, I don't know. she likes to work a lot with acting and with. She's a physical theater choreographer, so she likes to work with acting, with bringing situations into the movement. And I had no idea I could act. And one day she was like, so in the morning we do all the movements, bam, 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 we dance, like all the difficult stuff for the physicality, and then we play. So we had lunch, and after lunch she was like, can you fake a cry? I was like, what? And like one stupid task like this, I had fun. And then so make me believe that you're crying. Okay, so I tried. And now cry like a 5-year-old which wants the candy that the parents don't want to give. Okay, and now you try like this, and with more sound, less sound, blah, blah, blah. And I felt very comfortable in this, and I didn't know I could do such a thing on stage. And in the movement qualities, I had no idea I was good in floor work, for example. And like she brought this inside of me, and she made me aware of certain things that I didn't know I could do.
And did that, like, because it's being a performer like this and discovering skills or abilities that you didn't really, they were there, but you maybe hadn't discovered them before. Does that, like, did that affect you also outside of the dancing? Do you know what I mean? Does some of it come into your way of interacting with people, or does it build your confidence? How does that work?
I think now that you mention it, I never thought about it actually, but I think I started to be more myself also. Like, I'm quite I like to joke, I like to have fun, I like but it's true that before that project I was always a little bit shy and
serious.
Not serious, because you give me a drink and then I get start to be a little bit more crazy. But I was quite shy, and until I felt comfortable, I never really dared to show my true self, or I didn't really find the right moments to be fully myself. Like, only with few people I could like some people that I had the instant connection with, that I could be like that. But many people did not see that side of me, like, completely. But after this project, I think I got more confident, and I think it helped me also in, like,
Other aspects.
Completely.
It sounds like you were having a pretty good time in Umeå and in Sweden, and like a secure, safe life, right?
Yes. I had a lifetime contract.
Again,
but this one I accepted. I took it, and but this project with Lenka, which is called Dark Horse, the performance. I since this project, I knew I wanted to work in this direction again, and I knew I wanted to develop this this type of dancing, which was quite different and new to me. And I wanted to work with her again. So I talked to her, and actually it was a shared feeling. She also liked the collaboration very much, and we told each other that we will work again together. And 2 years later, she offered me a project here in Czech Republic, and I took it. So I took an unpaid holiday for a year in Sweden, and I moved to Czech Republic
to do
for one project, which was like 2 months of process, and then we had 2 performances per month. So that was like very little amount of work, but I did it. I just wanted to develop this artistic side with her.
And you're still with her?
Yes, yeah. I like now it's been 5 years.
Mm-hmm. And what about the safety and the money? Why did you run away from that again?
So I didn't run away. It's like this. Once you get into a company that provides like a full-time job with a lot of performances. I mean, it was kind of a dream job, I have to say. We had also, I have to precise, 1 hour massage per week to prevent injuries. I mean, wow, we had a sauna in the freaking building. Oh, that was so great.
In Sweden?
In Sweden, yes. Well, but actually, I talked to the directress when we wanted to work again together with Lenka, and she told me that she thought that my job there was achieved, that I grew a lot through the years I was there, and that I deserved to really go follow one choreographer that would help me develop even more.
Mm-hmm.
Because there is the thing when you do a short project like 2 months with one choreographer, you just touch by the finger the style, the way of working, but you don't really, and plus those choreographers, they choose among 8 people. They don't really choose you for you. It's like, okay, we have the 8 dancers, so I will just like whatever, I will try something with them. So you get to the surface of the work. But when you really work for somebody that choose you in their company, in a small company,
when they're not like a guest choreographer, it's
exactly.
I get it. Yeah.
In that way, you really have a chance to see the real work, the real process, like how the person comes from an idea to delivering the project. And I really wanted to do that with Lenka. And so she offered me this one project.
Super high income?
Well, check income.
Yeah, but twice...
definitely not so high as the Swedish one. That's one thing. And but it sounds very scary and very nothing like this from like one project and 2 performances per month, but at least I knew I was gonna have a little bit something each month because we would perform regularly, like little, but yeah. And for me, this desire to work with her was stronger than the safety of income.
But isn't that a little bit kind of what you have to have as a mindset if you want to be in this, let's say, not in this state safe environment, if you want to be in this freelancing, if you call it that, then you don't really know if you're going to make rent next month, right?
Exactly. It's definitely something that I think, like, if you want to make it as a dancer, like, or as an artist anywhere, like, have to be quite open to what comes, and you never know. Yeah, you never know these kind of things, and if you're not open to moving somewhere that you don't expect, then the amount of possibilities, they get very small, and I think you reduce your chances as an artist to develop and like to make it, basically.
Is it the hustle? You know, is it the fact that you need to kind of fight that develops you and pushes you? Do you think like being a dancer somewhere where you're kind of fine, you get your money, you know that everything's gonna be okay, you have your holiday, etc., etc., and then you have what you're doing, you know, you're dancing in different shows. Does that keep you alive somehow, like mentally and alerted?
Yes, definitely. It has like two sides. When I first moved, I had like a safety because I kept the contract. So in case if it wouldn't work, if I would be unhappy, if blah blah blah, I could still go back.
But it was unpaid.
It wasn't paid.
Yeah.
Yes. But like also I was living in Sweden already for 5 years, and I had made like I saved a lot of money, so in case if something happens, like yeah. But yeah, now it has two sides. In one hand, it keeps me alert and alive, and like, okay, let's hustle to the next project, or what can I do, like things like this. So I teach, I coach, I work with ice skaters, I work with silk acrobat, and those things I would never have done if I would keep working in the theater with like study job. But in another hand, it's also like exhausting to constantly switch your mind from one thing to another. But I like it.
Yeah.
I like the freedom to choose what I do to a certain extent.
It's I mean, a lot of people talk about this in art, that if the artist if his life is too easy, then it kind of kills some aspect of his art. I'm not an artist, so I wouldn't know. But so you come here after being what, 5 years in? No.
Yes, 5 years in Sweden.
Yeah, and then and you came here 5 years ago. And how was that to come here? I mean, what was the biggest surprise and most pleasant surprise?
It was I had a Czech roommate in Sweden, so I knew a little bit about Czech Republic, Czech culture since we were living together. I learned about the Slivovica and the way to keep healthy through winter by having a shot every day. Which actually, I mean, this thing is strong, but it kills the bacterials. Yeah. Anyway, so I was not completely alien to the culture, although like I didn't know much either. But I didn't care so much about it. What I was interested in was to work with Lenka. And this project that I came for is called Gossip. And the whole process was really great. I mean, I was really scared the first day because I didn't know any of the dancers and actor and the group. And, you know, always coming to a new group is a little bit scary. But everybody was so welcoming. And like we were many new people in the group for that project. So somehow it was like very... how to say? I cannot find my words anymore. It was very easy in a way.
And but actually, when you said it, like I know a lot of expats here, and I've known you for a year now. We met quite a few times. We talked, met for coffee, and I never heard you complain about anything. And a lot of expats here, they complain a lot about the locals and how things are and so on, which, I mean, of course, everybody's entitled to complain and so on. But in the end, you know, you kind of have to take the good things and focus on that and then kind of ignore the... But why don't you ever complain? Well,
I do complain a little bit.
Because you're friends and you should be complaining.
What? I'm from South.
Yeah. And that's like mañana.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see tomorrow. Tomorrow is another day. Kind of philosophy. No, I complain, but I'm very happy. So there's not much to complain. I have the chance to work with different groups, with very inspiring people, and also I found love here. So that's also a big thing.
How did that happen?
Well, it's quite a funny story actually, because when we talked with Lenka, and so she explained me about the project and what we were gonna work on and conditions and blah blah blah. And she told me, and there is this guy, Fanny, you're gonna love him. He's so kind, he's so nice, and I can see you two in the studio. You're gonna have so much fun. She worked with him for another project before, so she knew him, she knew me, and she was like, I think that those two, they are gonna click. But she said, you're gonna love him, like in a sense, like we will become friends. And what's funny is that the minute he entered the studio, I don't know, we had this instant connection. And exactly what she told me about, I was quite nervous before he came, because I was like, oh, okay, like there is a big expectation here, like a big friendship growing, and what if it doesn't happen, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But it was like quite easy. Like he entered the studio and we started to talk and to joke, and he's more from street dance kind of dance parts. And so I asked him to teach me some movements that I didn't know, and some tricks and things like that. And we were always like in the 5 minutes of break, we were always like, woo, having fun little battle, and and we clicked. And I think I think I fell for him like very fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's from here.
He's from Slovakia.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
And but how was it, like the process of, dating and this, were there any differences between you, like culturally or anything like that, or?
Yeah, sure, of course. For example, in France, we have the culture around food.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we socialize. That's how we meet people. We gather around the table,
Mm-hmm.
and we just like eat for
Mm-hmm.
hours. And
Mm-hmm.
this is the way how people get in touch with each other. And in Slovakia is more, they eat very fast. They don't talk while eating. Bloom, 5 minutes, and then they drink, and that's how they socialize.
Yeah.
Around like a bar, and like or at home, like the home bar, and woo, drinking and talking and joking, and that's it. So like yeah, we have a little bit those small differences, which I found very interesting and funny. Like yeah, that this is this is fun.
Yeah. But how is it, like, if you're I mean, now, because I saw this gossip
Mm-hmm.
show, and both you and your boyfriend are in that play, or
Yes. Yeah, that
show.
play.
Yeah, show. Yeah. And I was actually, when I was watching it, then I was thinking about all these things, because I remember when I was a little kid and I was dancing with girls, I always had an erection. Because I was so excited, about being with a girl,
Yeah.
not as a kid. That's maybe a little bit of an overstatement. That's 15,
Teenager.
or 15 to, 14
Yes.
to 16 or something
Yeah.
like this. And not that I was thinking about that when I was watching gossip, but I was thinking, like, how does this work? Like, first of all, the kind of the chemistry between different dancers, and how much do you have to allow yourself to kind of get into it to make the performance good? And then how do you do that when your boyfriend or girlfriend are there also,
Mm-hmm.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, I understand. It's actually we get these kind of questions quite often, because yeah, of course we dance with people, we touch each other, we create quite strong bonds through the touch. And this is something like we have a total dancers and other people different borders, that's for sure. But like I think like all my dancers friends are people that I created a very strong bond with, like they are like my other family, or and I think many dancers can say that. And probably because of this touching and things. But then when when you have a partner and like you're in love with someone, then there is dissociation between work and like private life in a way. Like I don't know how to explain exactly, but you don't develop feelings just because of touching somebody and dancing with somebody. It's
I did when I was 14.
yeah, but
lot
when
of
you do
feelings.
this, it's the same. Like I don't know, when you do this every day for many years, it's not something so strange and new. I think that yeah, I don't fall in love with every male dancer I touch and I dance with.
No.
That's for sure.
And jealousy. There is no jealousy or
No, we are from the same area, so we know what it is like, and we respect each other, and we don't cross those borders. Like we're very like we talk about those things, and it's not yeah, there is no issues.
So you work together, you dance together, you perform together, and then you live together.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get tired of this. I mean, it's not too much.
No, it's fine.
Mm.
It's actually like we started to date, and I think quite instantly we started to live together. It was like we just couldn't get away from each other. It was very interesting, actually.
Yeah.
But now he's also architect, and he doesn't do new projects in theater. He still dance with me and in those projects that we are involved together. But that's like 2 performances out of I don't know how many I dance in now, but no, 3 performances that we dance together. And now he's more like office corporate work. We work from 9 till 5 and
Yeah, everything that you're not.
yes.
If you could take one thing from France to here, to change, what would that be? I mean, and it's not foie gras or something like that, but more like any culture or habit or something like this. What is the thing that you miss the most that you would want to have here?
At first, I thought you meant something like professionally, and in this case, I would answer definitely the intermittent du spectacle status, which is like a support for artists when they are freelancing, and like artists, but also all people working in technician and like light technician, sound engineer, and all these people working in live performances that. You just prove that you work a certain amount of hours per year, and then they support you for a year. Like, so when you are without jobs, you still have income, as long as you prove that you're active in, like, professionally active. So that's something that I think is missing here, because many freelance people are like, this is the thing, like we have no safety in the job, and now it's quite proven with the pandemic situation that theaters were closed for I don't know how long, and also we couldn't teach, like dance schools were closed and many things like this, like all the festivals, concerts were postponed or cancelled, so we had no support. No safety net. No. I mean, we got support like from the government, like this.
One-off payments and
exactly. But out of the amount of work that got cancelled, it was like really a breadcrumb. Compensation, which was, I mean, I'm really grateful for it. I have to say, like, thank God for that. But yeah. It was. It's not like a real support.
Mm.
And so that's one thing. But culturally, I think this food, the food, the social interactions around food. This
Yeah.
I would definitely bring it.
You want to spend more time eating than drinking.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, although we do, I bring it. I did force it into people. But I don't know. It's very interesting. But when we have when we spent like 2 Christmases here in Czech or Slovakia, for instance. But for me, it was so interesting how we did not really share a meal together. I mean, it's really interesting. Or like New Year's Eve at home, it's like we spend like 3-4 hours around food with 5 different dishes and like that, and then we party. On and here we didn't even, for New Year's Eve we don't even share a meal together. It's like everyone is like having a snack on the side, and then we go around the table and we drink it, which is also fine, but it's so weird to me.
Yeah, it's,
and so yeah, this I guess I would like to develop this here.
Yeah. We're kind of coming to the end. It's really interesting, Fanny, that in some way the problems you had as a child with your family, they kind of put you onto some sort of I don't know, like a path. But that path was also very random because you go to Sweden because you were insecure about your skills in France. So you audition, and then you get offered to go there. You go to Sweden, and then Lenka comes there. That that's a coincidence. Also, it could have been somebody else, and that kind of brings you here. What's next? Are you gonna go in, I don't know, 10 years? Are you gonna be in another country?
I go with the flow.
Yeah.
I think it's been like this since I left my hometown. Actually, I keep my options open, and I don't like to plan so much ahead. And once I start to feel that things are not fulfilling as much as before, then I move on. So that's what happened when I was in France. I was not very fulfilled in this first theater because was like difficult as a first contract career, blah blah, and then I think that's more it. Like once things are not so exciting anymore or fulfilling, then I move on. But for now, I'm happy. Don't panic, Lenka. I'm staying. But I like to keep it open.
Yeah. So if people want to know where to see you and so on, do you have some social media? Is there some web pages, or where should people kind of keep track on you?
I'm on Facebook and on Instagram, and
Fanny
Fanny Barrouquère.
Good luck.
There is not many Fanny living in Czech Republic, Prague, so it's not so difficult to find me. And I always share the performances I perform, I am in, or even the ones I'm not in, but I like. So.
And Lenka's group also has like a page, right?
Yes. So with Lenka, we perform always in Divadlo Comedy, which is in the city center in Vodičkova, tram stop. And so you can find the performances in the program of Comedy's webpage. But we also have like a webpage, Lenka Wagnerova Company, and also Facebook and Instagram.
Okay, great. And I think that's kind of it. We were lucky. refrigerator didn't start, the water cooler kept quiet, and not many cars honked the horn on the street.
Right.
The sun is setting over Prague Castle, and we have a beautiful sunset here. It's been great to have you, Fanny. I mean, I thought I knew a lot about you, and now I know even more. But I knew from the moment that we met that you could talk, and it's another proof that getting a dog is one of the greatest things you can do, because you meet a lot of interesting people.
Really.
Through that. It extended my network greatly. Being I don't know if I own a dog. I think the dog actually in the end owns us. But
yes, that's for sure.
So that's a topic for another podcast.
Yeah.
So thanks for coming. It's been great.
Thank you.
You guys, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram. My name there is Midlife Crisis Warrior. Please subscribe to the podcast. Tell your friends about it. Spam people. And tune in for the next episode, and I'll see you around. Bye bye.